Welcome to Stanislaus Football Weekly, and now for your hosts, Joe Cortez and Brian Vanderbeek.
Hi, welcome to the show. I'm Joe, this is Brian, and we entered last Friday, Brian, with 10 undefeated teams, and we're down to half as many this week.
Yeah, we lost half of them, and a couple of them, so kind of surprisingly, going over the 5 that dropped out. Davis, a little bit of an upset here, lost to a previously winless Enoch's team, 48-42.
Well, previously winless is correct, but they had played a really rugged schedule and had suffered their lumps, and they're still very talented and still very capable of earning one of the 2 automatic playoff bids that come out of the MMC. But yeah, I was at the quarterback club today, and they've been having some problems Enoch's has with turnovers. And Sean Munoz has put the ball on the deck 6 times in 4 games this season. So Coach James Stacy of the Eagles went to his truck, took out his multi-purpose knife, and stabbed their Nike ball, and then they've gone to a GST ball, and no fumbles last week. So apparently it worked.
Well, yeah, whatever works. That's a great ad for Nike, though. The fumble ball. Oregon uses a Nike ball, right?
Right. Hey, they got the Tiger Woods golf ball. They can live with this.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Another team that dropped out in the game that you were at, Manteca, with the thrilling 29-28 overtime loss at Central Catholic. That sounded like a classic.
Thrillings doesn't do it justice. Yeah. Just a fantastic smash-mouth high school football game, and boy, that game could have gone either way. Obviously, they go into overtime. Roger Canepa calls for a 2-point conversion, and that's Roger's default mode.
Right.
Smash.
Right now.
And he went for he got the touchdown to tie or to bring them within a point, and then he said, "Let's go for 2."
That's great. That's great. It's funny. We were following the tweets of that game on the sidelines of the game I was covering, and the reporters are going around, "Oh, they tied it. They scored the touchdown in overtime." I said, "They're going for 2. Roger's going for 2 right now." "Oh, no, Beak, they're not going to go for 2. No, they're going for 2." And they went for 2.
I need to follow my sword a little bit here. I came in after that game and I wrote up my game story. And Justin Rice was the hero of that game. He filled in for the injured Montel Bland, ran for 130 yards, scored 4 TDs, including the 2-point conversion. And in print, I called him Jared Rice. It's Justin Rice.
Right.
Was able to fix it online, but not much we can do about print.
Well, that's your first loss of the season. And another team that lost their first game of the season. A little bit puzzling here. Talk about turnovers for hitting Enoch's. Houston commits 5 turnovers in their 31-21 loss to Liberty Ranch. Same Liberty Ranch team that lost 27-0 the previous week to Escalon. So that's kind of a bad loss, but we just didn't know how good Houston was because of their strength of schedule.
Correct, and it was kind of the same thing last year. They had an early run and then it kind of fell apart. But turnovers, they happen, and those things are things that can be cleaned up. You just got to go to your truck and get a knife and stab a football.
Stab a football. I guess that's
so. It's George Hart has the blueprint ahead of him there.
That's the way to do it. And we lost 2 unbeaten teams in the Southern League, with Gustine losing 22-19 to LeGrand. Very good win for LeGrand off their slow start, and maybe they'll get together, start rolling through the Southern League. And the game I was at, Oristimba losing 21-20. Really good game to Ripon Christian. So that leaves the remaining 5 unbeatens now. Oakdale,
correct,
which is 4-0, and they'll host 1-3 Western Ranch this week. Sierra, 4-0, hosting 3-1 Central Catholic, and I get to go see that.
You get to go that one there.
But and then Pittman at 3-0 is hosting North Salinas. North Salinas really hasn't played anybody, but they're 2-1. Ripon Christian, the team I saw last week, 4-0 at LeGrand, 2-2. Game that's really going to be very interesting, and we'll pick that one a little bit later. And then Modesto High. I guess you're going to go see this one.
I'll be there. Modesto High
5-0 at Downey, 4-1. And so we have Oakdale, Sierra, Pittman, Ripon Christian, and Modesto. Which of these 5 are the most likely in your mind to lose this week?
Well, I picked Downey at the beginning of the year to win the Modesto Metro Conference, so I got to stick to my guns, and I got to say that Downey's going to win this game. So, ergo, Modesto is your most likely to lose.
I don't want to tip off a pick, but I think after this week there's only going to be 1 VOL team left unbeaten.
I know who you're picking.
So that's a tease, and if you're paying attention, you know what that means. But speaking of the Modesto Downey game, you had a chance to talk with Modesto coach Richie Alkire and Downey coach Jeremy Plough.
Well, let's hear what they had to say.
Okay.
Coach, the last couple of seasons, Rich Alkire of Modesto has kind of had your number a little bit. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. He's a good coach. Last year they beat us, We got lucky that Grigori was able to trip him up, you know, to even up the record. But I mean, they outcoached us last year, and 3 years ago when he was a buyer, his last year there, they got us that year too. Aaron Zwollen's junior year, which was another great game, Downey buyer. So I mean, he's a great coach. He's got a good coaching staff and put good players with that. And yeah, I mean, you have a pretty explosive matchup on Friday night.
You were co-champions of the MMC last year. They got the #1 seed. You were #2. I know you coaches talk about never looking ahead, but truth serum time. You guys had to have this one circled on your calendar.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we didn't want to look past Bayer because they're such a good team as well. But this was the one that we knew we would have to win in order to get that league title. I mean, like I said, at Quarterback Club Day, it might be 80-79 on Friday night. I mean, both teams are very similar, very quick, very explosive, and both teams play pretty good defense. So, I mean, it's going to be a fun one on Friday night.
Coach, I was talking with Downey High's Jeremy Plaw, and he said you've kind of had his number. The matchups between your teams and Jeremy Plaw's teams, even going back to when you were at Bayer, is a very interesting matchup, is it not?
Oh, I mean, he's just, I just really enjoy playing him, and there's a lot of what he does that, you know, I've tried to model and follow his lead. I mean, I think he's just done an excellent job in this league, and, like I had said earlier today, I think right now they're the standard in our league from freshman on up, and it's what I'm striving to do. And so, I mean, I don't know about having his number or whatever. It's every year is different, and I don't believe that. And you know, I just really enjoy playing him, and I think he's a great coach and got a great program. And I think Friday's going to be a lot of fun. It's kind of, I think, what high school football is about, this kind of matchup.
Well, that's what Richie and Jeremy had to say about that game. Well, let's go ahead and pick it. Kind of two similar teams, at least offensively.
Yeah.
What do you think about this game?
Well, like you said, similar. They like to spread it out, and you know, they bring everything but the kitchen sink, as one of the coaches at the quarterback club said today. Like I said, I picked Downey at the beginning of the year. I'm going to stick with Downey. I think they're just a hair better at this point, and it looks like they fixed some of their defensive problems that they had early in the year. You know, they had Pittman all but beat in the first game of the season, and Pittman made that great comeback. Modesto's the record of Modesto's opponents this year is 6-17,
right,
though they have defeated Patterson in Patterson,
right,
and they beat Turlock. Downey's opponents are 9-14, and like I said, they had Pittman dead to rights, and they beat a decent Tokay team. But I'm going to pick Downey for this one.
For the very scientific reason, I always pick Modesto. I'm picking Modesto.
Yeah, because
because my kids went there.
Yeah, that's
but
as good as any.
I mean, that's a cop out. But I actually, in this case, I do think Modesto's going to beat them. They got them last year, and I just think Modesto is going to bounce back, and they're 5-0. They got all the momentum in the world. Although Downey's won 4 straight, and so here we go. And
they're co-champions from last year of the MMC. Downey, Modesto was the #1 seed. Downey #2.
Mm-hmm.
I really think Downey has a little chip on its shoulder and going to play with a little fire this week.
Okay, we're only doing 4 picks this week. It's a bye week. We don't have all that many games.
Not a lot of games.
A lot of teams have the byes going into as they open conference next week. But one of the big games, Central Catholic at Sierra, and I'm really looking forward to this one. I saw Central early. I haven't seen Sierra.
I'm kind of sorry that you're going to this game. I wish I'd have asserted myself a little more.
You got to see Central Catholic last
I did, and I got to see a great game.
Right.
You know, you couldn't put a cigarette paper between Central Catholic and Manteca.
Right.
Manteca, obviously, is a very good team, the defending section champions in Division III. And I think one loss is going to be okay in the Valley Oak League. It's going to be a little like the SEC in college. Everybody's going to knock each other around a bit.
Right.
And we've got Sierra, we've got Oakdale, we've got Central and Manteca. So I'm really interested to see how Central bounces back from a big game, physical game against Manteca with another big game against Sierra. Central has faced St. Mary's this year, which runs the spread offense, and that's going to help. I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm picking Sierra.
Well, that's a question we've had with Central Catholic. We've mentioned this almost every week that we'll see how Central week to week can match up with anybody, whether they can do it, run the grinder of the Valley Oak League on a week-to-week basis. Well, this is the week we find out.
Mm-hmm.
Sierra has played Ripon, Central Valley, Chavez, and Kimball.
Right.
This is by far the best
their
team
biggest
Sierra
game
has.
of the year.
On the other hand, Sierra has scored 172 points in the first half of its games. Hasn't even had to play a second half game.
No.
Well, I think that's going to be the difference. A, Central Catholic's going to be the best team they've played. B, they're going to have to play 4 quarters for the first time this season. I like Central something like maybe 35-24 in this game, but I'm picking Central Catholic.
Sierra is going to be fresh.
Yes.
They're going to be the fresher team. They're coming off essentially a bye. They've beaten teams by 44 points a game, and they've taken second halves off all year.
Fresh and experienced. They're going to have to play that second half.
And they're huge.
Yeah.
They have Joshua Falla on the offensive line, 6'6", 335. Jacob Gullett, 6'4", 305. And the strength of their team is linebacker Trayvon McCray. He had 4 sacks and 3 forced fumbles last week. He's a returning all-leaguer. They've got skill, they've got size, they've got speed. They're dangerous.
Well, Central has been able to run the ball on everybody. They're going to have to throw the ball. You know, they're only completing about 45% of their passes so far this year. A little bit more efficient in the passing game, and I just think Central gets them.
Big key will be if Montel Bland is able to play. Justin Rice proved he's a more than capable fill-in. And Nick Navarro, another injured starter, cornerback and wide receiver for Central Catholic, he needs to come back next week.
Yeah. Well, let's move along to a big game in the Southern League. 4-time defending section champion LeGrand is hosting Ripon Christian. Now, I saw Ripon Christian play last week. I'll say right up, I'm picking Ripon Christian to win this game. This is the first they've been playing football at Ripon Christian for 10, 12 years now. This is the first Ripon Christian team that I looked at and said, wow, they're really playing football. This is a physical group. Ripon Christian's never been physical, but this defense swarms to the ball. Very, very impressed by Ripon Christian last week, and I'm picking them to win at LeGrand and stay unbeaten.
Well, LeGrand has just recently kind of started to look like LeGrand after an 0-2 start. They're 2-2 now, and still I'm picking Ripon Christian. I think Will Camps is a real stud over there. They're a great defender at RC. I'll go with the Knights.
Grigori versus Bayer. That game's going to be at Johansson. How do you think this one goes?
This is Bayer's homecoming, I believe.
Yes, I think you're right.
Not going to be enough. I think Grigori wins this one.
Yeah, I like Grigori in this game also. Before we close out here, we've got to mention that we've got a lot of stuff online in addition to the stuff we have in the paper every Saturday. We've got our Friday night wrap that we tape very, very late or
very, very early
Saturday morning.
Yeah.
We have live scores Friday nights at modb.com. We've got your Tuesday night online chat at 7 o'clock at modb.com. And of course, right here, we've got the Stanislaus Football Weekly right here every week in the expansive studios here at ModB Central.
Expansive, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
If we could only turn that camera around.
That's right. We can't turn the camera around. That's how expansive it is. But another thing, also online, you're going to see a lot of great photographic work that doesn't make the newspaper. And as we go out here, and we're just going to end this show with a lot of great photos. So, you have anything else to say?
No, that's it. I'm fresh out of ideas.
Okay. For Joe Cortez, I'm Brian Vanderbeek. Go out and watch some football and have a great football weekend.